once it stops popping, it's still got a few going, but it's pretty much done. Nice thing is, because of the bottom part, you would have to leave it running a long time to burn. But this, yeah, I can let it keep going and pop the last kernels without damaging the rest that's popped. So just unplug it, then I flip it over. Ooh. Oh, couple stuck in the whirly-bird attachment. So now I give mine a good shake, because you don't want to have any of the unpopped kernels. That will certainly ruin your bite of caramel corn. So I fluff it around to get all the kernels to fall at the bottom as I measure it into the bowl. So, try to make sure they're all in the bottom there. And then we're ready to make. Alright, so now we're making the caramel sauce. I just put we're making a double batch. The recipe only calls for 1 cube, but a single batch doesn't last very long around here. So I put the 2 cubes in to melt. While I wait for that to melt, I'll get the cookie sheet ready. So the caramel is very sticky and hard to clean up. So we line the cookie sheet with a piece of foil. It also makes it easier to dump the caramel corn out when it's done in the oven. So, this has to be down into the edges. Careful with your fingers, if you have fingernails. Like I just went through the corner a little bit, but I'm gonna just make it work. Alright, so then you want a very thorough coat of cooking spray. Alright, so that is ready. So now we'll come back to our sauce. I got the butter a little bit warm, but caramel sauce is going to be brown anyway, so it won't matter. So I've got my light corn syrup here. And my brown sugar. Alright, so just stir this around. One thing I like about this recipe is you don't need a candy thermometer. It cooks, you base the doneness on the color. So you see when you add the brown sugar, it turns this dark brown. As it comes to a boil and starts to bubble, when it gets to the right consistency, it actually turns a lighter brown, which you'll see. And that's when you know to take it off the heat and add the other ingredients, and then add it to the popcorn. Okay, so you see how the sugar and butter combo is starting to bubble, and this is about what you want to see it doing. And you can already see it lightening up, but you want it to all be this very light brown color. So it still has a little bit longer to go. Alright, so you see how it's very light now. It's getting very foamy. So it's ready to turn the heat off. Alright, and then it'll be to add the baking soda and the vanilla. And this is where it gets a little exciting because it moves very quickly. You can step back, Franklin. It's going to foam up. And, yeah, you need to stir constantly to keep it from coming out of the pan. There we go. You see how it's a nice even color? And see, as soon as I stop stirring, it starts growing. So, into the popcorn it goes. Now, the recipe calls for 4 quarts of popcorn, and of course I did a double batch. But I got this recipe originally from my sister, and she often did a double batch of caramel to the same amount of popcorn. So hers was very caramely. I try to make it stretch over the whole batch so that it's not quite so sugary. The kids just get a little bit of sweetness. Oh yeah, and popcorn gets everywhere. But you have to be careful because the sauce is so hot you can't really use your hands to mix it up well. So as you can see, you know, you'll end up with you'll have dry patches on the popcorn. It won't be completely coated. If you really like it completely coated, like I said, the way my sister would make it, you just use half as much popcorn. But this is what it comes out if you follow the recipe exactly. And the sauce cools very quickly as it's hitting the sides of the metal bowl and the popcorn. So you have to get it stirred up quickly so that it gets dispersed evenly over all the popcorn. So now we spread this onto a cookie sheet. Go. And you can, I mean, you know, it's completely edible right now, but to really get that like caramel texture, we bake it, so you bake it at 200 degrees for 20 minutes. So caramel corn, we just took it out of the oven. So now I put another piece of foil down and give it a light spray. And then I'm going to turn it over it like this. Welcome, sweetie. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you, Darius. Okay, yeah, it's cool enough. I can barely I can grab it without burning myself. So then I turn it over like that. And go ahead and undo the foil from the sides of the pan. The pan doesn't get too terribly hot because it's only 200 degrees. Anyway, so I do this so that any caramel that ran through, it kind of settles back down on the popcorn. So now we let it sit for a few minutes to cool, and then we'll come back and break it up. And once it's all the way cool, store it in an airtight container, whatever doesn't get eaten. Alright, so it's cooled for a little bit. They'll easily break apart. That time in the oven, you know, caramelizes it together. So I just come through and kind of break it into pieces. If you like, you could leave it in bigger chunks and just eat off of it, but we like to make it into small pieces that you can put in a bowl and just snack on. So we like to do bite-sized pieces. So I'm going to break this all up, and I'm going to put half of it in a bowl, and then Kaylee's going to put some chocolate drizzle on half of it to make zebra caramel corn.
So my mom made caramel corn. I had the genius idea to melt up some white chocolate and semi-sweet chocolate and make some zebra popcorn. Tastes amazing. Is it good?
Yep, I taste